Chris, so can you please explain how equity works if I'm already paying a mortgage, an apartment I live in? Can I leverage this to invest in rental property? Can I use equity as a down
Free
payment?
equity, yeah.
Yeah. You living in that apartment, right? So either you do it this way when you live in there, obviously you building equity, you paying the rent to your own on one side, right? But how is it? Is it better to build equity that way, or is it better to build equity when you have a property investment?
Property investment, we talked about
Yeah.
this in many videos and live streams before. uh, if you look at one single property and compare, shall I move in or rent it out,
Yeah.
renting it out beats it 10 out of 10 times if you compare the same property. But free equity, I think this is what you were relating, and maybe we were using this term before. Free equity, how this works. So let's say you buy a property for 100K, just to have very easy numbers. And then over time, you pay it off, right? And let's say after 10 years or something, you owe the bank only 80K. From the 100 mortgage that you got, you only owe them 80K. But so there's 20K difference, right, that you paid off. And over that 10 years, let's just say the property went to 120K, right? Rising 2% just by inflation, actually. The property, not enormous amount of increase, but the property just increased 2% by inflation. That means you owe the bank 80 and now your property is worth 120, right? So you have this 40K basically out of nowhere, which is free equity, because now you can go to the bank and say, look, I want to buy another property, and the first property that I have, I own. Of course, you have to tell them why do you think it's worth 120, but there's always calculations that you come up with in order to justify this. And then you can say, I have 40K free equity in this. Can I use this as a loan for a new property, either as a down payment or for the closing costs or whatever? And then again, if the banker is smart and knows what he's doing, then most of the time they agree.
Yeah. They
And this
approve.
is how you. This is why we're saying in many videos, the first property is always the hardest,
Yeah.
because with the first property you have no free equity. And after the first one, then
Yeah.
of course, after you have one or two or three, then you build 2 and 3 times free equity, and then it gets easier and easier to leverage from
Yeah.
there.
And here's also because you're living in there, that means you're the one who pays the mortgage out. If you are in a property investment, you having a third party, which is called a tenant, and you obligate that work to the tenant to pay off your debt. Same thing, building equity within the years and then buying your property. So vice versa. But yeah,